Pay me, pay me, pay me my silver now. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my silver now.
Road2Rooted.com. Lots going on. If you haven't seen it yet, you're on the private road. Go check out my latest post. Lots about the new gold silver standard that's on the way. How will we get there? How will it be implemented? All that stuff. Go check that out. Silver was up over $1, and then it's being brought down. Again, silver is 100% rigged every day, every trade. They'll allow it to go up $1. They could allow it to go to $1,000 on a rig. We need to get rid of the COMEX is the problem. And the COMEX is where futures and options are traded in many, many multiples. Hundreds of times what the actual underlying availability of the metal is. That's how you control prices. We know this. Everybody should know this by now. If you've been on my channel for long enough, you've seen heads of the CFTC say, yeah, that's how we control the Bitcoin price. We introduce a derivative, futures and options. Russ and Benham, the CFTC. We had to tamp down the price of silver because it almost hit $30. It was using futures and options. The derivative market. That's all that matters in silver. Until that market is gone, we're going to see prices under control. And they might be under control at $30 an ounce. They might be under control at minus $40 an ounce, like silver went minus $40 a barrel. They might be under control at $1 million an ounce. We don't know. We need to get rid of the futures and options market that is the control mechanism for rigging. There are other rigging control mechanisms like the silver ETFs that diverts massive amounts of potential physical silver investment money into this joke, a ridiculous joke called SLV, run by the ridiculous joke of a company, JP Morgan Chase and BlackRock. Are you kidding me? Please. People, get your... You got to wake up. You're going to lose everything you got in the system. That's why we love gold and silver. Is because they're assets in our own possession. That's why we love cryptos. They're assets in our own possession. No third-party risk. That's what you need right now. Everything else is gone. And if you don't believe me, just keep an eye on what Musk is doing. This is going to destroy the global economic system, the control system that the U.S. has run. And he knows it. Trump knows what he's doing. Elon knows what he's doing. They know this is going to absolutely destroy the fake facade, the false front of what we think is free markets around the globe. So, yeah, just wait for the tariffs to come on and 25% silver from Canada and Mexico. They did not get canceled. They got postponed for a month. Keep an eye out. Keep an eye out. This is going to get really, really crazy. But we have to do it. We have to get rid of this massive amount of fake debt. The imitations of gold and silver get cast into the lake. That was Nostradamus. That's where we are. What are imitations of gold and silver? SLV, COMEX contracts, futures and options, swaptions, mining shares that are hyper rehypothecated at every exchange and brokerage house. No, I think if the banks go down, which they will, they have to, the mining shares will not be worth anything. Every country will nationalize the mines. Do you think Mexico would really allow foreign owners of mines to continue to work and export silver, the largest exporter of silver in the last 100 years? Think they're going to allow that? If when the banks go down and, oh, by the way, I'm a foreign investor and I own these mining shares in the mines in Mexico, so please give me all your wealth. Oh, yeah, you own this share, so yeah, sure, no problem. Here you go. Here's all the wealth of our country while the rest of our country is starving and dying. No, it's not going to happen. It's all going to get nationalized. If they can get it, if they can get their hands on it. In the U.S., yeah, we got laws around this stuff. Will they come for your, 50 silver eagles in your safe deposit box? Well, the bank will probably take them if you keep them in a safe deposit box. But no, they're not going to. It'd be unconstitutional. And by the way, we will go back to our Constitution, which says gold and silver are money. Federal Reserve note is just that, an IOU. It's an IOU for nothing. And there is talk that Elon has just gone into the IRS. The IRS It's like the mafia had all those guys that go like store to store and make people pay up for protection and all that. That's what the IRS is. It goes from human being to human being, making sure that you pay your fair share. Fair share of what? Look at all the money we're wasting that Elon's finding. As a Republican, I'm more of a libertarian, but I voted for Trump. I am appalled that my tax dollars are paying for the Democratic Party's thrift, for their scams, for their election campaign. Your tax money, as a Republican, went to the Ukraine, who shoveled it through FTX right into the pockets of Maxine Waters and Elizabeth Warren. This is insane what we're doing. And then we pay our taxes again. We're going to end paying taxes. We will not. I'll guarantee you. I won't guarantee you. A high likelihood that no one's going to pay taxes in April. That's how close we are for the entire system breaking down. It has to break down. How much fraud is Elon going to find today when they go into the IRS? Massive. Trillions. And payback, cutback, kickbacks to the IRS agents. People all over the government are getting kickbacks. It's insane what is happening, and it is ending. So the fiat unbacked monetary system that relies on all this stuff to continue. These banks will not survive without all this theft continuing. So I don't know what to tell you. All the too big to fail banks are about to go, every single one of them, which will leave nothing. There's no, you're not going to have any money in a bank, period. You won't even know what money is, probably. And that's where we're headed. When's it going to happen, Bix? When's it going to happen? I don't know. It should have happened in 1913. We've never been closer than we are right now, but there's been times when we're hours away. September 11th, 2008. The crash of 2008, on September 11th, $500 billion fled the money market accounts kind of instantly, and they were hours away from shutting down the New York Stock Exchange, which would have shut down every bank on the planet. So there'd be no brokerages, no stocks, no bonds, no nothing. We were hours away, and then they did massive bailouts. We opened the discount window and said, who wants free money? Hence why we're paying $5 for a cup of coffee now. But the key to taking down this whole system is silver. That is the key. Silver has always been the key, the Achilles heels of the banking cabal. The banks would love gold to go crazy. They own most of the gold. They would love that. Gold is just flying every which way right now because there's so much of it. There's so much physical gold. It's ridiculous. Everywhere you turn, every country has massive amounts of physical gold. The United States probably has the most. But we've hit it. It's still in the ground, the vast majority. Although we are adding to the nest, as the old head of the U.S. Mint was saying when he changed the silver eagles to the eagle coming in with the branch. We're adding to the nest, meaning we're making gold and silver coins ready for the transition into something new when a single too big to fail bank goes down. The FDIC's been preparing for this. About a year and a half ago, they had a board meeting, and it's exactly what they said. We're going to have to shut down a hell of a lot of banks. Well, they're going to have to shut down all of them. By the way, FDIC doesn't have money to cover their obligations. Oh, don't worry, Bix. Congress will vote to give the FDIC no more money? No. Hell no. Why would we do that again? We'd be right back in the old situation. Bailing out banks. It ain't going to happen this time. So, what do? HODL. Hold on for dear life. Keep minimal in the bank. Just to pay your bills. And cash won't go all that far. I mean, within a couple weeks of the banks being shut down, you'll see everybody going, like, people rush to the market and get what they can get. And it's like, what are we doing, Mr. Government? Well, who's Mr. Government? They're all getting fired right now. Not that they did anything anyway. Got to take care of yourself going forward. Anyway, silver, yes. Why is silver? The game is still being played above the moving averages. Today is the 14th of February, 2025. Monday, the 17th, that India will report on how much silver it imported for the first quarter numbers. The way silver works, they buy the silver and then they ship it into India. So that takes a week to 2 weeks to get it into India. So the reason I'm saying that is this is when December 16th is when the price went under the moving averages. This is the India buy zone right here. India buy zone. Keep telling yourself that. Trump just met with Modi, the head of the leader, the prime minister of India, making all these trade deals and things like that and bouncing tariffs off. India is the largest importer of silver. You don't think that was the first thing on the docket? Trump was saying, hey, careful with the silver. You better stop buying all this silver, or at least don't tell anybody about it. It'll be interesting. If you want to know who the top importers and exporters, well, let's just talk about the net importers, meaning every country has silver that goes in and comes out. Some countries don't really track it. Like China will lie about every figure. The United States lies about every figure. But from the public reporting, these are the 5 net importers. And India is number 1. They're going to do, last year, they were almost at 300 million ounces. They did about 280 million ounces. I think in purchases, they were over the 300, but they're about 280, 285 is what my calculations come out to. And we're going to hear from Metals Focus pretty soon about the official numbers. And then the what's it called? The Silver Survey, that ridiculous piece of toilet paper that the Silver Institute puts out every year, comes out, I think, in April. And then Jeffrey Christian of CPM Group copies that, so his silver report comes out in May. It's so ridiculous. The insanity of the stupidity in the silver industry, in the silver markets, that people don't understand what's going on. It boggles my mind. Anyway, top 5 net importers. That's exports minus imports. The net importers, India number 1, China number 2, obviously with all their manufacturing, they need a hell of a lot of silver. South Korea, a strong electronic industry in South Korea. Japan, also electronics, and Germany. Germany is interesting because they exported a hell of a lot just recently in the last 2 months to India, silver, coming from Germany. I was like, what the hell? Germany, yeah, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on there. All right, and as far as net exporters, Mexico obviously is number 1. The Mexican government has screwed their people for so long now. They should be the richest country on the planet. Silver should be trading at least 3-to-1 with gold, probably 1-to-1 with gold, and then probably 1-to-10 when they find out how much gold there really is versus how much silver there really isn't. So really interesting times. You look at the countries that export, they're all pretty poor countries. Mexico, Peru, China, Chile. I mean, they poor per capita, per person. Mexico has been struggling forever and shouldn't be at all. Peru has struggled. These countries are literally raped and pillaged. Read the book Confessions of an Economic Hitman, and you'll understand how the United States really pulled all this stuff off. How we'd loan countries like Peru money to build its massive power plant and put Bechtel in there to build it and make all this money, and then put them in debt for the rest of their life. And you either vote with us or we're going to call your debt. It's just horrific. John Perkins wrote that book because he was one of the guys. He was an economic hitman. That was his job. Hopefully everybody knows about that. I think they made a movie of it, or tried to. It didn't work out so well. Anyway, back to silver. What are we looking at? Massive TAS, traded settlement. So all the EFP, exchange for physical, all these are silver derivatives. Everything traded on the COMEX is a silver derivative. Futures, options, swaptions, you name it. TAS is one of those derivatives, traded settlement. If you, like, this is a, 31 million ounce purchase and sale. Obviously, if it went in one fell swoop, it would affect the price. But if they do a TAS, trade at settlement, they can make that exchange happen at the closing price of the day without that amount of silver causing any movements in the price. Now, who would do that? Because it's the same. You take a long and short side of the trade. That's how the banksters, the criminal banksters, mind you, J.P. Morgan customers, HSBC, that's how they trade back and forth with each other. Because they need to position their derivative book But if they went on the COMEX and actually bought the contracts straight out, it'd be huge. Everybody would say, "Oh my God, look, 30 million in one trade." But yeah, and it's all derivatives. J.P. Morgan stealing all the silver from 2008 to 2014, amassed 1.2 billion ounces. Remember, the Hunt brothers only had 100 million. Warren Buffett only had about 130 million. Yet J.P. Morgan was able to steal 1.2 billion by shorting the derivatives, and then they get out of it. They'd sneak out of it by snookering someone else to take it. Who's got the silver hot potato? Bear Stearns had it for a while. Drexel Burnham had it for a while. Everybody who ends up having that gets in deep shit. Now Bank of America has it supposedly, but there's a lot of derivative contracts associated with it. Let's see who's taking delivery. Now, this February being a non-delivery month in silver on the COMEX has a massive silver delivery this month. That's over 20 million ounces right here in February has been delivered in physical silver on the COMEX. Not to mention what goes over to the LBMA in the exchange for physical. But that's a huge, I think that's the biggest ever. 20 million on a non-delivery month. I mean, that's a pretty decent month anyway on a delivery month. So next month, March, is a delivery month. Those of you who have been listening to what's going on in gold, massive deliveries in gold, the most ever on the COMEX. But it's really not the COMEX where all the action happens. It's on the exchange for physical. It used to be. I remember an 80 million ounce delivery month. And then they changed the rules, created this thing called EFP, exchange for physical. And you can see those right here, trades right here under EFP. Harvey Organ blog. Harvey Organ keeps track of that stuff. And they do over I think last year was 1.4, 1.5 billion ounces of physical silver were delivered. But at the LBMA, buying it on the COMEX and sending it over there. It's a con. It's a con, and it's a big club, and you're not part of the club. But who is part of the club? Well, just look at who's making the deliveries. Right here, silver futures. Again, over 20 million ounces in a non-delivery month. Unheard of. Who was the biggest trader every single time? J.P. Morgan Chase. Yes, the same J.P. Morgan Chase that got busted, paid a $950 million fine for rigging the silver market when we were all screaming from 2008 to 2016, J.P. Morgan's rigging the silver market. Blythe Masters, look at her. Look at this. It was so obvious. And then Bart Chilton, the CFTC commissioner, finally, after he left, came out and said, yeah, J.P. Morgan was rigging the silver market. And then Trump comes out and finds them guilty of rigging the silver market. We didn't hear much from Jeffrey Christian because he was calling us tinfoil hat gang when everybody said it's a conspiracy, they're rigging it, and he still hasn't bent down and taken his punishment for giving everybody who said it's a conspiracy shit. He works for them. He's part of the conspiracy. Anyway, J.P. Morgan is taking delivery of 10 million ounces. Oh, excuse me, J.P. Morgan customers. Look, they don't even mention J.P. Morgan house account anymore. Maybe they are officially banned now because they weren't allowed. Everything went from the J.P. Morgan house account to J.P. Morgan customers. Basically, they're shell corporations that J.P. Morgan set up. And they collude together. It's all 100% illegal, but it is condoned by Mr. Trump, Mr. Biden, Mr. Obama, Mr. Clinton, Mr. Bush, Mr. Reagan. You go all the way back to 1913. Of course, the U.S. Treasury knows that the silver is the most important thing out there. Of course, the U.S. Treasury knows there's millions of tons of gold available, not 200,000 tons. They're not dumb. They're hiding from us. So you can see the ridiculousness of the COMEX contracts, the COMEX trading. Most of the trading is facilitated with computer programs written by Vinny Viola of Virtu Financial, used to be EWT LLC, Elliott Wave Theory LLC. And how do we know this? Look at the volumes. 75,000 contracts times 5,000 contracts. What's 380 million ounces traded yesterday. The whole thing's a scam. It's a charade. But let's look at who else. Who else? Come on. Who else? J.P. Morgan. Yes, they're in on it. Bank of America Securities. We know that Bank of America leased the 1.2 billion ounces from J.P. Morgan to sell it into the market to disguise what was going on, and they did that. And who'd they sell it to? Their friends and family, the banksters. And that was 1.2 billion ounces of fake derivatives added to the market. Did it go back to J.P. Morgan? Did Elon Musk get a lot of it? Did Warren Buffett get a lot of it? I think all of the above. But the con continues. Wells Fargo is not a big player. When the bad guys need real physical silver, a lot of it, they go to the Standard Chartered Bank. Look at this. Almost half of what was delivered this month came from Standard Chartered Bank. And all they do is deliver physical. That's one of the very, 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 very old, very deep state controllers of silver for the past 100 years. Standard Chartered Bank out of England. HSBC obviously has been caught rigging many, many times in every market, but especially the silver market. They used to run the hedge book for the U.S. Mint, which is the largest real physical hedger on the planet. Although, as Jeffrey Curry of Goldman Sachs told us, that SLV silver is all hedged, shorted by these banks. So if you own SLV, you're working against your own investment. It's insane what they admit when they're under stress. The banks are the shorts. Remember that interview? Anyway, who else do we got in here in the band of merry riggers? Wow, it's just we're down to a handful. HSBC, Standard Chartered Bank, Scotiabank is still there, just piddling around. They said they left the market a long time ago, but apparently they aren't. B of A, obviously a big player, and J.P. Morgan is the biggest. So yeah, that's it. Between them, J.P. Morgan themselves, 2,000 contracts took delivery. That's 10 million of the 20 million. Where are the regulators? Who the hell knows? Who the hell cares? The good thing is that everybody knows what's going on. Everybody knows what's going on. All right, let's take a look at Reggie. Okay, so those of you who've been following my work for a while, I've been screaming, you got to get some Veritasium if you own any cryptos, because it's an insurance policy, is what it is. You don't need a lot of it, because the odds that Reggie Middleton and Veritasium and the token especially comes back into play are very low. Reggie's been kicked out of the system. He's not allowed to deal in cryptos as ordered by the SEC. Now, a lot of people are saying, holy crap, the guy who busted him, this Jorge Torino, has now moved. They've kicked him out of his leading spot as the head of litigation for the SEC on cryptos. And Reggie didn't admit guilt. Reggie didn't lose a case. They settled out of court. Well, they settled in court, but he agreed to all this stuff. Basically, they said, you either agree to this or we're going to throw you in jail. Doesn't matter the reason. And we're going to take all your money and your family's money and everything you have, which they did anyway. So he agreed to it. But part of it was to freeze 98 million of the 100 million Veritasium tokens that are out there. Now, it is not the token that is the driving force of value behind this. It's the IP. It's the intellectual property. Reggie has the patent on DeFi. He has the patent on what Ethereum does. He has the patent. The Coinbase trial is this notification here. I think this is related to Coinbase. Reggie Middleton's hearing has been extended by joint agreement to the 21st of February to facilitate negotiations. So here's what's going on. Reggie sued Coinbase. I think it was for 100 million or something like that, some big number, maybe 200 million. And so for copyright infringement, so it goes to the patent infringement. It goes to the patent office. And usually the patent, like 85% of the cases get thrown out. This goes to the patent office that, Perkins Coie was the lawyer for Coinbase, which is like the deep state lawyer. You'd think they'd win, but they didn't. They got thrown out. They said, yes, this patent is fine. Go for it, Reggie. Is what basically the patent office said, go for it, Reggie. Your patent is solid, all 7 of them. So this was, I don't know what the hearing was, but it was related to Coinbase supposedly. And now it says exactly, by joint agreement to the 21st, change it to the 21st of February to facilitate negotiations. They're going to settle. What's going to happen to the Veritasium token if Reggie Middleton settles with Coinbase for a certain amount of money? Let's just say it's $100 million and something ongoing. Who knows what it is, but holy crap. There's only 2 million Veritasium tokens out there. Now, Reggie doesn't have to live up to his word and, give people who own the current tokens, 2 million that are out there. He said he'd give people, if they're going to use that token, to get cheaper fees to use his patent. I think a better idea would be do what Cliff High's data said. The U.S. government's going to come to Reggie after the system fails, and is going to say, oh my God, you got to help us. All these brokerage houses have been lying, stealing, rehypothecating assets, and nobody knows what anybody owns anymore. How do we restart the exchanges? We're sorry for what we did, Reggie, but we'll give you your 98 million tokens back if you can help us fix this system. I think that's the way it's going. I think that's going to happen. You couldn't see it when Cliff was saying this at the very beginning, but now there's a very clear pathway for that. I don't think it can really take place until after the crash. So, are we looking at a crash? First quarter, second quarter? I think so. We'll see. Who the hell knows, right? And then, you got your Nestor and XRP guys, and everybody says, oh yeah, this is what they're going to do. Okay, place your bet. I definitely highly recommend getting Veritasium, but it's very hard to get. Most people cannot get it. You won't be able to get it at any price. Who cares what you pay for it? Because it left the Mercatox exchange. It's gone. Some people have got some very stuck in the Mercatox exchange, from what I hear. Although I think Mercatox is working with them to get it out. Who knows? If you own cryptos and you keep them in an exchange, it's your fault if you lose them. It's all your fault. Just look at FTX. If that didn't teach you a lesson, I don't know. I don't know what would. Or Mt. Gox. The whole reason to own cryptocurrencies is their assets in your own possession. That's my take. Anyway, very exciting times for Reggie and Veritasium, and I think the easiest path towards fixing the system using cryptos is to reverse the charges against Reggie and say sorry. SEC, just say sorry, and give him back his 98 million Veritasium tokens and say, all right, continue what you were doing. And by the way, can you help us? And he would. Reggie's not anti-crypto. He's very pro-crypto. He just saw something and invented something very early on that wasn't known about by a lot of people. I was screaming about it. If you're on the road, Rudo, you know exactly what's going on. Anyway, so if you have any crypto, you probably should, other than just the Bitcoin maxis, if you just, Bitcoin itself doesn't violate Reggie's patent. It's what you do after the blockchain. Peer-to-peer capital transactions is what Reggie patented. XRP 100% violates it, by the way. So will Ripple, with their, what do they sell? $47 billion worth of sales of their tokens? Crazy. How much are they going to pay Reggie? I don't know. It's going to be a lot. You Ripple people. All right. That's what I got for you right now. This is, if you want to join the private, go to roadroo.com. Click on subscribe today. We're currently giving away 5 Theta, 50 T Fuel, 500 T Drop. I believe this will be the number one crypto to own for the future. If we are really headed into a world of the high-tech world and asset securitization is going to be a huge part of that. We're going to need AI. We're going to need fast internet speeds. We're going to need more cloud storage, which is coming out. The big release is in June. These guys at Theta Labs have done everything right, and no crypto people know about it because it's not trading on Coinbase or Kraken or Gemini yet. That's coming this year, by the way. So when do you want to buy cryptos? When nobody knows about them. Buy your Veritasium, buy your Theta. T-Fuel, I think, is undervalued compared to Theta right now. So I'd buy T-Fuel and Veritasium right now. But you can't get I hear some places you can get it. Try it on the Trust wallet. Try to swap Ethereum for Veri. Once in a while, you get a couple. but you're going to pay through the nose for it because you're late. Anyway, this is Bix Weir. I'll talk to you later.